you notice, I kind of extended the time today. We're going to try this out. I'm going 7 minutes instead of 5 minutes, so we'll see how this works out, if it's too long, too short. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. The chair, extraordinarily squeaky today because we had rain yesterday. It's a cool morning. I would say 70-ish degrees right now. 70 to 80 degrees maybe. I should probably look. Yeah, it's not even 70. It's 68 degrees right now. So what a beautiful morning to be out here talking about blades. Welcome to Blade Talk Tuesday. This is Jude. Thanks for being here this morning. I spent all weekend dancing. I was in a dance workshop doing swing dancing. It was a lot of fun. So a little tired, but it was a lot of fun. I didn't expect to have so much fun. Honestly, it was because of the people I was with. Now, last week we introduced the concept of Blade Grind 101, and I said this week we would get started with Scandinavian Grind, and that is true to an extent, because the main thing I wanted to talk about today was not just the Scandinavian Grind, but the Scandinavian knife. Because the idea behind a Scandinavian Grind comes directly through history from the origin back in what people consider 5000 BC, when that Scandinavian area, basically Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, were making stone knives in the same shape, basic shape of what they use nowadays. Now, I was doing some research on this. I took some notes. That's why I'm down here reading. Hopefully, it doesn't drag on too long. Next week, make sure to check it out. I'm going to be starting something new. I am interviewing a friend who knows a lot more about knives than I do. He's been doing this bushcraft stuff pretty much his whole life, so make sure to check back next week for that interview. It'll also be a little bit longer. I'm thinking about 10 minutes, and I hope to interview more people in the future, so if you have any interest in talking about blades with me, just message me, let me know, and we can possibly work something out. It'll depend on what you want to talk about. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. The only really good example of a Scandinavian knife that I have is a Mora. My Mora, which is made in Sweden, one of those Scandinavian countries, follows the basic criteria, I guess, basic design features of what we consider a Scandinavian knife. So generally, the knife itself, dating back, to the Iron Age, time of the Vikings, back when, kind of ancient cultures here, first started working with blades and knives and stuff like that. They had this knife that they would use for everything. The Scandinavian knife was used for everything from woodworking to carving, shelter building, and then on the other side to game processing, fish filleting, fire making, just everything, hunting. They did it all with these knives, so the design is functional and effective. Generally speaking, where did I write this? A Scandinavian knife, by design, let's pull out my Scandinavian knife, has a shorter blade length, a flat spine, and a comfortable handle without any crazy guards. Now, Mora has a slight protrusion here that could be considered a guard, but it doesn't get in the way of getting close to the handle or close to the blade itself. So a super simple design. And a shallow belly. This portion right here where it's rounded, called the belly, is shallow. Those designs are the Scandinavian knives and generally they had thinner blades as well. And yeah, I think that's basically the design features of those. And of course there are variations depending on where they're from and who makes them and stuff like that. Man, this chair is really horrible today. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So the Scandinavian Grind perfectly complements the Scandinavian knife. And I think this is an important point that I'm making. That has been made. I'm not making, I'm just doing research and reiterating things. But I think, personally, that the Scandinavian Grind works best on a Scandinavian knife because that's what it was designed for. Even in this old time, the time of the Vikings, the time of this ancient, well, not prehistoric, but very ancient civilizations in the Scandinavian area, the grind itself was designed around the blade. And we'll talk further about this next week, because I'm planning on spending maybe a few weeks on each grind itself, which is different than just throwing a whole bunch of grinds out there and being like, this looks like this looks like that. I'd rather do research, figure out what each grind is for, why it was designed, when it was designed, and how you can best use it. So think about that. The Scandinavian knife is designed around the Scandinavian grind. What kind of Scandinavian style knives do you own? Let me know in the comments if this longer episode works for you. Check back next week for that interview. Thanks for being here. The timer is done. So we will see you in the next one.